and support for their small business. Any of you not engaged right now with the JWBC, I encourage you to contact Jackie or Anna Maria so that you can start networking and engaging and growing your business. Now, there's one other resource partner I didn't mention, and that's the PTAC, Procurement Technical Assistance Center Specialist. And for those of you interested in any type of government contracting, whether it be city, county, state, or federal, our PTAC, and they are located at the University of North Florida, they are a tremendous resource to help you engage and grow and market your business. And so what else is it we do? We have government contracting. There are 4 socioeconomic government contracting programs that we support at the SBA. And none of them are minority contracting programs. But if you are a woman, we have a woman-owned small business government contracting program. Matter of fact, the new rules just went into effect. And I'll be sending out some information on that. And Jackie will make sure her distribution has that information. There's also the Hub Zone, or Historically Underutilized Business Zone government contracting program. We also have a veterans program for those veterans out there. It's the Veteran Service Disabled Veteran-Owned Small Business Program. And our flagship program is the 8A Business Development Program, and it is an executive level training program for socially and economically disadvantaged individuals. Grants, we do have grants. However, you know, I tell people go to www.grants.gov, but we have 2 grant programs, and they are predicated on research and development and technology, the Small Business Innovation Research Grant Program, or SBIR, and we also have the STTR, or Small Business Technology Transfer Grant Program. I saved the disaster for last because anytime there's a federally declared disaster, typically our Field Operations Center East team out of Atlanta, they are dispatched here throughout the state of Florida and the Southeast region to the site of the disaster until business owners, homeowners, and renters are made whole. Unfortunately, this pandemic, it is a nationwide disaster area as declared by the president. So this one is different. What we try to do as an agency is bring assistance in the form of the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program, and that's on the Office of Disaster Assistance side, and our Paycheck Payroll Protection Program. So earlier I stated we don't engage in direct lending. Well, during a disaster, we actually have funds. This is the only time the SBA has funds, and we have money at this time for either economic injury or physical injury. So, so with that being said, a lot of you have applied for and received both the EIDL and PPP loans. The PPP loan, there was a change last week. President signed into law the new law that says now instead of having to use 75% of the PPP funds on payroll, you now have to use, you only could use 60%. And instead of having to use 25% on mortgage interest, rent, lease payments, or utilities, you now can spend 40% of that loan amount on those things. Whereas it was a 2-year term on that particular loan, is now a 5-year term, up to 5 years, still a 1% interest rate. And instead of a 6-month deferment period, there is a 10-month deferment period. So, and instead of 8 weeks after initial disbursement, having to pay back the loan or ask for forgiveness, you now have 24 weeks. And I always tell people, the EIDL loan is not a fully forgivable loan, although the advanced portion is, but the PPP loan, for all you business owners out there, it is a fully forgivable loan. So that being said, that's my time. I thank you for yours, and thank you so much, Jackie.
Thank you, Thaddeus. Truly appreciate you being here and sharing some of that information, especially in this relevant time. Real quick, before I introduce the panelists, I just want to share with everybody that You know, we acknowledge the challenges that everyone's been going through during this pandemic and during COVID-19. The Jacksonville Women's Business Center has actually had to change our business model on the fly. We're in the process of evaluating it, and you know, we're not even sure if it's going to work. I just want everyone to be aware, you know, we're right there with you. We understand that this is really hard. You know, for example, we have a budget for program income, and right now all of our programs and offerings are being offered at no cost. We evaluate and adapt just like the business owner, and you know, we're working through it as you are. So just wanted to share a little bit about, you know, where we're at as well. So with that, I'm going to introduce three of our panelists, starting with Julie Graham. With 12 years experience in the financial services industry, Julie brings knowledge, professionalism, and an understanding of financial landscape to her customer relationships. She's no stranger to JWBC. Julie has been a mentor for our Financial Matters program and a supporter for years. Julie, if you want to go ahead, you can unmute yourself and share your video. Next, we have Kinita King. Kinita is a regional broker coordinator with AFLAC Insurance. She specializes in company and individual benefit consultations and administration. Prior to joining AFLAC, she has 15 years plus of multifaceted human resource management experience, specializing in benefits and payroll. She was appointed to serve as the 2020 president of the Mandarin Council for Jack's Chamber, and she has just joined the advisory board for the Jacksonville Women's Business Center. Kinita, you can go ahead and share your microphone and video now at this time. And last but certainly not least, Vicky Zelen. Vicky is the owner and president of Zelen Risk Solutions for 17 years, and she has over 30 years of experience in property and casualty insurance industry. She is the 2020 and 2021 advisory board chair for the Jacksonville Women's Business Center. We're so happy to have her because she's been a client, a mentor, facilitator for all of our JWBC programs and workshops, and she's a graduate of the Athena PowerLink program. Thank you all for being here. Welcome, and with that, we'll have Kinita begin the conversation. I'm gonna go ahead and stop sharing and then get you all on the screen. Thank you so much.
Okay, so as we're working through the technical difficulties, Jackie and the Women Business Center, I definitely want to say thank you again for allowing us this opportunity to present. I think this is a prevalent time for us to come together and to have this discussion. So I will go ahead and kick it off with our first question. So first question of the day is, what have you seen overall and what advice are you giving your clients?
Can you guys see me, hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. I'll start with, you know, the PPP program that he mentioned and the EIDL program. Of course, we were instrumental in helping a lot of clients with that. So, of course, it was challenging. It rolled out quickly, trying to navigate it. As you heard him say, there's still changes coming up. So if any of you have taken advantage of that, you know, talking to your bankers, you know, it's still unfolding. Like now we're getting into the forgiveness part. So that's been one of the biggest ways the banks have been helping. You know, another thing too is just, you know, telling clients to have their team in place. I think some businesses unfortunately got lost in the shuffle a bit because they didn't have a direct contact with the bank. Or for instance, their package wasn't prepared appropriately to submit to SBA because they didn't know how to do some of the calculations required because they couldn't get a hold of their CPA or they don't work with a tax professional to help them get that quick answer so they could submit it and take advantage of these programs that were out there that, you know, you could have had a substantial support for offsetting costs or trying to fill in that gap of revenue lost. So that's probably the biggest thing is people are starting to realize, you know, I really do need a contact, you know, with my bank, you know, with, you know, my CPA or, you know, for instance, insurance claims, like, does this qualify? So encouraging clients to definitely get their team in place, you know, including your CPA, your banker, your insurance agent, and your contact too with your, you know, SBA center score, where they can be that point of contact so you know how to navigate these governmental programs. And then the other thing, you know, just from a bank standpoint is leveraging credit. you know, I have a lot of clients or, you know, prospects that, you know, reach out to me and there may be, you know, credit adverse, which is fine. You know, if you want to use cash, that's your prerogative. But it's times like these now where they come to us and, you know, they want the credit now, but, you know, the market's, you know, restricting a little bit. You know, had you had that line of credit in place, you could have used that to supplement as a tool. So you're in control of your own finances and your own credit. If you have like a line of credit, for instance, where you can use that to supplement some of these disruptions that come up. You know, this is a COVID situation, but, you know, sometimes it's a competitor entering into the market and you might need to tap into that as an option. So that's one of the things we're seeing on our end is just helping clients leveraging credit and then also navigating through the programs that were available.
Okay, Vicky, would you like to share what you've experienced?
Yes, we've had a lot of clients calling us for support with their insurance policies to find out if they qualified for any kind of loss of business income coverage due to COVID. And most of the policies require direct physical damage to the building in order for that coverage to kick in. We are able to help some of them reduce their insurance premiums. So if you've been significantly affected by COVID and you haven't had a conversation yet with your insurance agent, get on the phone with them and find out if there's any opportunities to get your premiums reduced. We've also been advising people. We have some limousine companies. They have not been in business basically at all, just like the restaurants. They're parking their vehicles. They're trying to, you know, minimize the insurance coverage on their vehicles. And then we're reminding them to put a note right on the steering wheel. If you move the vehicle, call the insurance agent first to make sure the coverage is added back on. We had a gentleman call today that he's going to cancel his commercial auto policy altogether. And whenever you have a lapse with your insurance coverage, it gets more expensive when you want to buy it again. So we're going to call him and advise that he sees if there's any possible way he can make it through the crisis he's going through to keep the coverage in place, because we don't know if the insurance companies are going to be able to adapt to, you know, people having to cancel their policies because of COVID and not give them a surcharge when you put it back in place again. We've also been on the phone and helping our clients to understand some of the things that are available to them. So it's good to have a business owner type group of people that you're surrounded with that can help you and advise you. We've even had some clients that we've just had to kind of cheerlead along through just devastation. Their restaurant's closed or it's open, but it's barely, you know, anybody coming in to buy food and carry it out. But it has been amazing to see all of the innovations and people that have changed the way they operate their business during COVID to make it through. One of our clients has a dog kennel, and of course, nobody's traveling at all, but who wants to be home with a stinky dog? So she started doing dog grooming right out of her kennel. She was all set up for it. Learning all the different programs with Zoom and this type of a webinar right here is just, so many people are innovating, drive-by, you know, contactless pickup, and it's just been amazing to see how people have just changed the way they're doing things, and they've changed it pretty quickly.
Okay. So thank you for that. So it sounds like a couple of key points that I picked up on is making sure that you have a point of contact, right? That you all did a lot of educating your clients, and just having that support system. Sounds like it was very important during these crazy times that we experienced. So I want to transition into our next question. And that question says, how have you supported your clients during this uncertain time? So Vicky, you kind of started alluding to that, but if you want to elaborate a little bit more, that would be great.
Just when I hear about opportunities because of all the wonderful organizations that I'm connected to, including the Jacksonville Women's Business Center and the Chamber, SBDC, SCORE, all these wonderful organizations. If I have clients call me with issues about, you know, trying to make it through, I definitely recommend that they get in touch or get on email listings so that they hear about the different, you know, opportunities to learn and seek assistance with some of these wonderful programs that have come out. This last Monday, I spent a couple hours on the phone with some of my clients, making sure they understood that there was a City of Jacksonville business incentive program to help them through, and just rallying together and taking into consideration there's some people that are having a really extremely difficult time right now. I'm going to reach out to one of my clients this afternoon. I know he's having a really tough time after having closed his business due to COVID, and just make sure that he's okay, because it's a scary time for some people. They've spent years and their whole life is involved in their business, and it's all kind of teetering right now. So help everybody get through it if you can, and be understanding, and maybe just take an extra minute to reach out to somebody too.
Right. So Julie, what have you done for your clients?
Sure. So definitely, as I mentioned, navigating the SBA and PPP process. Every bank did it a little different. We did it where, you know, we had actual representatives walking through with you and collecting the package to submit to SBA. So that was nice to be able to actually, you know, help clients rather than to refer them to a site. So we spent a lot of time doing that, in addition to deferment. So a lot of banks did this as well. If you had current loans with us or lines of credit, you know, we offered the option to defer them for a few months, those payments. So that way that could provide some relief as well. And just working with clients and even people that I know in the community that own businesses, you know, when they reach out and ask the question, just to help, even if I'm not their bank. And that's why I think it's so important to reach out to these, you know, organizations like SCORE and the Jacksonville Women's Business Center. If you start with them, they know the bankers in the community and the different representatives in different industry that they want to help you. You know, it's not a one-off product. We're here. We're here with you. We're a part of this community. We're invested in this community. I'm from here. You know, I'm passionate about the different businesses that are here, whether they're my client or not. I'm going to give you a response, and I'm going to give you some direction. You know, bankers, we know each other too. So maybe you're, you know, at a bank and it's a bigger bank, but you don't have a point of contact. You know, I try to provide that contact, you know, to try to help you navigate, you know, so you're on their radar, or you can get a hold of somebody. So sometimes, you know, they would have loved to know you were trying to get a hold of them, but we just couldn't make that connection, right? So trying to make those connections in the community to resources, and then again, just holistically helping, you know, clients with, you know, deferments and what's going to give them relief in terms of having less expenses, you know, ways to increase revenue. You know, that's going to be your marketing streams. Our side is ways to maybe shorten that cash flow gap if it exists. You know, if you come in, you deposit a check, you know, it's a larger check, and you know, before 7 days wasn't a big deal, but now, like, you need it now. You need those funds available now. So taking that extra step to call to verify it, you know, when you have that point of contact at a bank. So just, you know, taking in the requests as clients bring them up, where we understand that this is necessary right now, and we need to help them. So taking the extra step to make sure we can shorten that cash flow gap, get funds into the account, and then decrease expenses if it's, you know, tied to one of our financial products that we have, and then also to provide additional resources within the community that we're connected to.
Okay. And the one thing that our company did with AFLAC is that we did a deferment. So basically for 60 days, 2 months straight, our policyholders, if they could not afford to make their payments or pay their premiums, we actually, you know, put a freeze on it basically. Although their payments were frozen, we still allowed them to have coverage if they needed to use the policy. So again, I think if I'm hearing everybody correctly, the connections and the relationships and providing that one-on-one point of contact. So again, we've kind of already transitioned into this, but what are 2 trusted resources that you all have utilized over the course of these couple of last months that were a little tumultuous? So Vicky, you want to go? Oh, Julie, you can go first.
That's okay. So one of the tools that we use here is called Vertical IQ. So what that does is it gives us details on industry-specific strengths, weaknesses in that industry, you know, what they're going through, what they're, you know, what cycle they're in, you know, if they're seasonal, challenges they may face. You know, some of the things that were interesting to me as I would, you know, kind of keep a tab on that is there's certain industries like construction, for instance. A lot of our construction clients actually did really well during this time, and sometimes that can be not the case in certain types of disruptions. So then you had other industries that were impacted that, you know, haven't really been impacted and are typically resilient, like our, you know, medical professional industries, because, you know, the medical communications came out from the government where they had to close their doors, you know, where that's, you know, they keep using that word, unprecedented, you know, so, you know, reaching out to them and knowing how to better help them. And then I, you know, challenge you guys as business owners to maybe take a look at it for your own industry. But if you're a business to business like Vicky, you know, you can know the industries that are actually thriving, you know, that you can reach out to, or, you know, looking through your book and, you know, seeing some of those industries that, you know, are taking a hit, that you can be proactive with them, you know, have the conversation and offer them those options before it snowballs and they get to a point where they've got to, you know, close down everything and you know, they won't be able to come back. So you can provide those proactive options to them. There's also some updates to articles that they include for different industries relative to just COVID and what we're seeing here with this situation. So they give general information too. And then also, again, going back to that team, like I bank a lot of attorneys. I sit on a Florida Bar Grievance Committee. So they send me, you know, articles that are relative to their industries, and some of them, you know, cross over to finance. So when you sit down to these individuals that maybe you've met at networking events, et cetera, you know, when you connect with them, a lot of them subscribe to quality resources within their industry that might be a little bit relative to you, or just, you know, good high level information for you to have. So I have that from, you know, CPA friends of mine that we, you know, work together, and clients that they send me those articles, and I'll take, you know, a minute to look at them. So that's another resource is, you know, again, getting that team around you, and then asking if, you know, you can be added to their mailers that they send out that has some good information.
Okay, thank you so much. Vicky?
Yes, we have a lot of different insurance companies and industries that are sending out newsletters. For example, at the very beginning of COVID, and it's probably still in place now, I'm not even 100% sure, but even if you had part-time employees, or you didn't have to have a certain number of employees, but you had to offer a couple weeks of extra sick pay for COVID in case somebody felt like they may have had it, to keep it away from spreading, or if they were worried about a family member caring for their children out of school or daycare. So there was a lot of publications that came out about things like that, and the insurance companies came out with what if your employee says that they have COVID, or they're afraid they have COVID, and they're afraid they may have contracted it on the job. Is that workers' comp? And the workers' comp industry came out to say, if there's caregivers or people in the medical field, definitely anything having to do with COVID is going to be considered workers' compensation. But because it's readily available out in the environment, and it's hard to prove whether somebody got COVID from work or out in the environment. So I've been advising everybody, don't promise anything to your employees. Each individual workers' comp claim gets looked at by the facts surrounding that individual case, and call your agent or call your insurance company to check on it, but don't make any promises. So there's just been so many wonderful publications that have come out. Some of the insurance companies that we work with came out with risk management ideas about how to reopen if your building or your business has been closed for a month or two completely. Now, how do you reopen? And what are some ideas about keeping people from getting sick in your business and things like that. So it's just amazing the number of webinars and Zooms and newsletters to help you get through it. Amazing information, and some people really took the time to get the facts and get them distributed in an easy to understand format, and it really makes a huge difference.
Okay, thank you, Vicky. And along with the AFLAC, I referred a lot of, we had a lot of legal literature that was actually sent out to us. So I shared a lot of that with our clients. And I will be remiss if I did not mention that I referred a lot of people to the Jacks Chamber as well as to the SBA and JWBC. So
yeah, I wanted to add,
ahead,
Kinita,
sure.
if mine, I didn't mention to your point. The other thing too is, you know, I got a lot of clients that called me kind of in a tizzy when they said, oh, the PPP is going to be available. I watched CNBC. It's going to be available at midnight tonight. And I was like, what? Like, no, it's not. Like, they didn't understand the process. So
Yeah.
the news is a great place to start, you know, when you hear these things, but just kind of take it with a grain of salt. They don't know the ins and outs and the workings of a lot of these things.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, definitely if you like a different certain news program or channel that you subscribe to, or, you know, look at it, view it, but then maybe verify it, you know, call the resource, you know, like to your point, the SBA, the actual sites that are offering these programs, or deal with whatever topic that you're referring to. Again, going back to that team, because, you know, they report things, but just the details, and they mean well, they're getting the information out to you, but just kind of verify some of the details when you reach out to those team members that you have, or those resources like Jacks Chamber, SBA themselves too.
So just to paraphrase, are we all on the same sheet when we say we're requesting or suggesting that they do fact finding, right? A lot of that.
Yeah.
All right, so our next question. In your industry, what's your business outlook for the remainder of the year? So Vicky, would you like to start?
There's a lot of uncertainty, of course, just like everybody. We know that a lot of our clients have been significantly impacted. We haven't really heard of too many going out of business. I would say maybe one or two have gone completely out of business. So I think most people are very optimistic. They are adjusting their business to the new normal and making it through. And I'm just amazed how ingenuitive people are and thinking of different ways of running their business and actually formalizing it. I think we need to keep in mind that we just have to really be understanding and patient and tolerant. People are calling businesses, and instead of being in an office where the phone calls are getting routed, people are working out of their homes, and so sometimes you're on hold for 30 minutes instead of what would normally be 5 or 10 minutes.
Right.
And everybody's just trying to adjust and pivot their business. We just need to stand together, support each other. And I feel very optimistic. I think a lot of the business owners that I'm talking to are extremely optimistic, but there are some uncertainties, of course. Mm-hmm. And definitely a lot of understanding and empathy for businesses that are struggling. I keep in mind also my employees, 2 of my employees are working from home. Their children are out of school. Well, now school's over, but for the summer, there's not even daycare if they wanted to have daycare. But some of these moms working from home, and dads, I'm sure too, they're used to working their full-time job in the office, kind of uninterrupted. Now, even if they go off into a bedroom, their kids are stopping in. You can't really say, get out of here, I don't care about you, I'm working. So we have to just be understanding and just take into consideration some of these people did not go into the teaching career, and now they're teaching their children while they're balancing a full-time job. They can't leave their house, and it's a lot of craziness, but I really have been impressed with the way people are just so strong and muddling through it, and, you know, positive and supportive of each other. So just keep doing what you're doing and helping everybody get through this craziness.
Julie?
I would say the outlook is positive overall. You know, the conversations were difficult in the beginning when this first hit and, you know, trying to get this PPP through. But then now the conversations I'm having as I'm circling back with clients, it's so positive. It really is making a recover where people are doubling down, you know, our cosmetic surgeons and dentists and people are getting in there. They want to make those appointments. Our hair salons, like they are so busy, you know, they have to adapt because of the new requirements because of COVID, but they are booming, you know, like pretty much every client that I reach out to, you know, it's busier than it was before the shutdown. And then that's the other part of it, you know, from a finance standpoint, this is different than 08. This is a controlled shutdown, you know, that happened that we decided when, you know, when we were ready to release, you know, some of those restrictions to where businesses can get back to norm. So we're starting to see that. And I know in, you know, the fall, there might be a second wave and we might have another, again, controlled shutdown. So that's kind of the difference between like an 08 situation that happened that had, you know, maybe longer ramifications than this. The third part of it is, for some of these industries that you're seeing that will not survive, COVID was a catalyst for them. They were already struggling. Like some of your big chain retailers, like for instance, I saw some, you know, like printed publications, like we already, you know, going back to that vertical IQ, we already viewed them as a challenge industry just in the nature of how business adapts over time. And there's certain, you know, business models that, you know, unless you adapt and change it, like it will phase out. And with COVID, it made us have to go online and some of those changes just became faster. And we might have seen that anyways in a couple of years, but if you weren't able to, you know, adapt really quickly, then, you know, you were, I hate to say it, but kind of left in the dust with this, which is unfortunate. And hopefully, you know, we can pivot, or some people I know that went into retirement, they kind of saw this coming, you know, so it kind of forced them into that direction where it may have gone that way anyways. So, you know, I challenge you guys as entrepreneurs to, you know, be creative, and you might have already had this in the back of your head, like, oh, I need to adapt to like having Zoom presentations or whatever it is to be able to do things digitally. But, you know, now it's kind of forcing you to go in that direction so you can continue to do business. But again, overall, just positive outlook where, you know, people were able to adjust. And like Vicky said, it's been really nice to see how entrepreneurs, you know, that's what makes you guys so great, is you are creative and you can make those changes. And but yeah, overall, just seeing the business is picking back up and even like rebounding a little bit stronger.
Mm-hmm. And same thing from an AFLAC standpoint. A lot of our clients are, you know, just getting back out into the real world, if you will. So just being able to be there for them and still provide that support. Hopefully we'll be able to do it face to face, because I am a hands-on type person. If I'm understanding again correctly, so optimism is the word of the day, right? Being patient and helpful and being able to adapt. So I think that's what we all are basically stating here. So our last question, what innovative tool should business owners use that they might not be aware of at this particular point that you're using? So we'll start with Vicky.
I am using the Zoom and all these meetings online. I was real nervous at first. A good friend of mine called me up one night. She's like, we need to get on the Zoom and practice this, because she was going to have to do it with her employees, and she was going to have to even do it with some of her clients. And so we got on there together and spent a good hour, you know, just trying different things and how it worked, and just all this crazy technology. And the Jacksonville Women's Business Center is set up perfectly for the online mentoring. They had been working on it, not even knowing this was coming. And so there's just so many unbelievable tools coming out, and even more and more to help people with this whole everything moving online instead of in person, and in, you know, happy hours on Zoom meetings. It has just been exciting and fun and kind of crazy and challenging. And I've heard of some people say, I'm on my 4th Zoom meeting for the day. It's, you know, it's a big adjustment, but everybody's staying positive and just getting through these crazy times we're in right now. And just, I'm so glad I made it through in 08, 09, and 10. It really made me stronger. Mm-hmm. So if you're worried that you're going to get through it, you are going to get through it. No matter how difficult it might be, or it might take a year or two, we'll see what happens here, but you will make it through. And I'm living proof of that, because that was, it seems like yesterday, but it was a real rough few years there.
Yeah. So it sounds like you're at the point where you're a Zoom professional, and I was in another meeting and someone said they're Zoomed out. So Julie, would you care to share?
Sure. So from the bank standpoint, we use WebExes for our meetings. Zoom is great. I've used that. Like I'm in Rotary, we use it. We had our Florida Bar Agreements Committee. We've been using Zoom. So this is a great tool to connect with your employees, your clients. You can share material. Like for us, we might be sharing a term sheet or deposit proposals. So, we do that similarly over the WebEx. The other thing that WebEx can do, depending on your industry, that might be relevant, like you can actually access the other person's computer. Like for us, when somebody has something with online banking, like I might need to see their screen. Like, what are you looking at? Where I can go in and they give me permission. So there's just some more capabilities if you want to look at that route as well, depending on, if you're in a service industry, mainly tech companies, things like that. The other thing is, if you're a cash business or you take a lot of checks, again, time to maybe upgrade where you can literally do all your deposits and your money management without walking into a bank. So a lot of people didn't realize that, or how am I going to get to the bank? Or you might have realized the bank on your corner is one that's closed. So how are you going to get your money into your account? Okay, try mobile deposit. Most banks have them. We have also ways to accept payments from clients, where they don't have to be present. Invoicing, ACH, merchant, where you accept, the cards and things like that. So if you haven't upgraded your, payment solutions, this might be a good time to address that if you saw delays and trying to collect those payments, from your clients, as well as trying to get them to the bank. Again, when times like these, like a few days makes a difference for your cash flow, right? So, having a review with your banker of what are the new innovative ways for cash management, online capabilities, again, being able to do literally everything, all kind of record keeping and reporting from your home. You can do that, and there's ways and there's things that banks offer that you can have that convenience and be more efficient now with technology and managing your money.
Okay.
I have one other point to make.
Go ahead, Julie. Okay. Go ahead, Vicky. Sorry.
About a year ago, I took a class at the Jacksonville Women's Business Center, and the whole focus was how to make your life easier for your clients and your customers, and really looking at every operation that you do from your client or customer's perspective. And one of the things we started doing after that class was, instead of having our clients have to sign documents with a pen, an insurance application might be 20 pages long and you have to sign page 2, 4, 10, and 12. Now we do InsureSign, DocuSign, where we email it to you. You go on there and adopt a signature. You look at it and you sign each page. It's a click of a mouse, boom, 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 done. It comes to me, I have an electronic copy of it. So it's seamless, it's simple. We don't have to be sitting in front of each other. We can be if we want to be, but it is so simple on our clients. And they didn't have to come in and meet with us. We didn't have to go out and meet with them. And we have all different clients that some of them are really seriously concerned about elderly family members or immune compromised family members. So it's really been amazing how that little one technology piece has just incredibly streamlined our business and helped our clients to make it simple for them.
And I'll add one thing to Vicky too. We've been using that, and we've had a couple calls too about your sense of awareness and how you communicate via email and how you come across on the WebEx and the Zooms. Like we did some practices with each other and like, oh, like this camera angle is maybe not the best. Like you don't realize it's different than being in person, especially if you're, in sales, you still want to be likable and all those kind of relatability factors that are important aside from just your product. So, there's kind of like some email etiquette, like if you're not used to kind of going back and forth so much in email and realizing how it can maybe come across, like that's a good kind of brush up maybe on that etiquette. And then also, again, to Vicky's point, when you're sending documents, how to communicate. And then, so you still have that friendliness and that service, it still can, it can come out, rather than, when you're in person, it's different face to face, when you're talking to a client and then going over the documents rather than sending them in an email. So that's something I've kind of had to brush up on myself as well too.
Mm-hmm. And I'll just add too, from an AFLAC standpoint, we were big on face-to-face, but again, we had to pivot. And now we've come up with a program that's called 8x8. So basically that's a call center. So if we have any clients that are in multiple locations, they can actually schedule a time to call in and do their enrollment. So that's a great tool that a lot of business owners may or may not know about. So we're kind of winding down, but Julie and Vicky, maybe 2 words of positivity or encouragement that you would like to share with our group that's here with us. Any words of advice?
Sure. Just, again, I see this as a temporary thing. So you'll get through it, and this is beyond you. I've talking to some of my business clients, they're beating themselves up, like, cause they couldn't, maybe they didn't have as much money in reserve or whatnot. And like, everybody's going through this. There was nothing, other people could have done. Like, yeah, you try to leverage yourself, but some of these business owners, they've built these businesses up and they're used to being able to, withstand anything. And they've worked so hard, done the right thing. And you're going to get through it, and you might have to take a step back temporarily. For instance, like, you don't have any, staff, or you can't afford the staff to do the work. So you've got to step in that role of actually producing or performing, but don't think that, because you're stepping back, that's a failure. Like, you're not going to be able to grow back again. This is temporary. So, be kind to yourself, that this is something beyond you, that a lot of other business owners that have been successful and done the right things, give yourself a break, be kind to yourself, and just take one thing at a time. And that this is temporary. You're going to get through it, as to Vicky's point. And then we're here to help you. Don't hesitate to reach out. I don't mind if you're a client of mine or not. Like, that's why I'm in this role. It's my, will to give to people, to be able to help them if I can, to connect you with somebody or answer a question. That's what we're here for. So to, connect with JWBC, and when they give you a name, like, hey, I need help with this, I'm not sure. We love to help you. We love to answer those questions and be helpful. We're fans of yours and the different businesses that are out here. I love when a business that I know and I've, been a patron of calls me or reaches out to me, like, I'm your fan, so please ask the question and just know we're here to serve you.
Thank you, Julie. Vicky?
Just support the other businesses as best as you can and enjoy. I've had fun. I bought a couple people flowers in the last week, and the florists are so happy to hear from me, and it's fun. It's exciting just to call them and say, I'm sending flowers, I need your help. And they're so excited, and just help each other through as much as you can. There was, at the beginning, I was really nervous, like, yeah, I want to support everybody, but I have to really be careful financially too. So you can only do as much as you can do to make it through, to help other people, but just do a little bit if you can do a little bit, and it'll come back around. And reach out to the Jacksonville Women's Business Center for some great advice and classes.
Absolutely. And the one other thing that really doesn't cost much is maybe doing a handwritten card. I did a lot of that over this this transition period that we were going through, and people don't do that anymore. So it meant a lot to some people. So that's what the thought for the day. So Jackie, with that being said, we'll turn it back over to you.
Awesome. I'll keep you all 3 here for just a second. Thank you so very much. What a great conversation we've had so far. I've seen a couple questions come through. So I've got the first question. Claudia Smith is asking, what is the best way to survive when you started your office in October 2019? She doesn't have PPP since the bank, she hasn't been in business long enough. So she's wondering where she should go and to get funding, I believe, or some advice of how to survive during this time.
So, and I'll speak to this, you may have to leverage your personal credit. It's not unheard of. That's sometimes how we can do the gap before we can get you into, where you can get business financing. The other option is there's a lot of fintech companies out there. They're not banks. They're middle market lenders that are online lenders, like Biz2 Credit is one, Cabbage, where they have different underwriting criteria than banks. So the length of time in business is less of a factor. What's more of a factor though is they just want to know, can you repay them? So do you have income coming in? And then they'll lend lend based on that. For instance, another one is Square has started to lend. So if you, they're pretty popular. If you take Square, they make it so simple that they cash flow your payment processing and then lend to you on that. So that's an option as well. So look for, maybe online, they're like middle market lenders, small business lenders, and just look up some of those. They're legit. You want to kind of do your diligence when you look at the actual site, but they're alternative financing to businesses, and the rates aren't as high and the fees as like your cash advance lenders per se. That's probably your best option. Look on the personal side, and again, know it's temporary. You're going to reach that 2-year mark. So if sometimes people cringe like on their personal side, but again, you're in control of it. So manage it appropriately with your own behavior. If you get a small personal line of credit, and then eventually you'll want to get that rolled into your business where you now have a business line of credit. So we work with businesses in that way that start up so they can get what they need, but do it responsibly. There's a fine line between leveraging credit appropriately and then getting into debt. So that's where you'll want to work with your banker and your tax professional, whoever works with your finances as well, where it all fits into your picture and you do it the right way.
I have a few friends also and business owners that they've had to go get a part-time job and work the part-time job while they're getting their business back up and running, or just to get through a short-term period. Don't be afraid if you have to do that for a little while. Your clients will completely understand. Your hours of operation may have to change a little bit if they can. But reach out to the Jacksonville Women's Business Center and SCORE and SBDC, and reach out to everybody because they want to help you. They'll give you good ideas specific for your industry, and they want to help. They'll put you in contact with people that are there to help.
Awesome. Thank you both so much for sharing. If anybody else has questions while we're doing this, please submit your questions in the Q&A, and we'll make sure to put those out to the panelists. And next question, real quick, will the replay be available? Yes, we are recording today's session. We'll be sending it out to the attendees as a follow-up. Tomorrow, you will also receive a follow-up email with our survey for the webinar too. So please take some time to give us your feedback. Next question for the panelists. For a new home healthcare agency established in July 2019, looking for working capital without collateral, and have applied for a lot of loans, including the PPP, Florida Bridge, EIDL, SBA Community Advantage, without success. What do you advise?
Okay, so again, my heart goes out to you because these are the businesses that kind of do get lost in the shuffle, these newer businesses, and I don't know, the success of not getting it. Like I know some businesses that were, started more recently that at least got the EIDL, but you had to get in there like in the beginning, like right when it, opened. Right now they're only doing to agricultural businesses now. So hindsight, can't look back onto what we would have done differently moving forward. Again, maybe leveraging personal again, like you'll have to look at that, and then also to some of those middle market lenders. The other thing too is there's some lenders that specialize with different industries, those middle market lenders. So they have an understanding of healthcare. So they may be able to give you like a small portion if you have strong receivables. Some merchant processors, will give you a small little bit of capital, like a loan line of credit type of thing. A business visa is a good place to start. A lot of them, if you haven't gotten one yet, they're a little bit easier to get approved for than like a loan or a line of credit, where we don't advise carrying debt, of course, on visas, but again, with the short-term nature of what's going on, like for instance, we have one that's 0% for 9 months. Like you might be able to just carry that for a little bit and then look at other options once you reach your 1-year mark, or you recover a little bit, where you can place that on. Again, a small little solution, but you may have to piece together a couple of things to get you over the hump.
Great, thank you so much, Julie, for answering that. I haven't seen any other questions come through, so with just a few minutes left on the webinar today, I want to thank you all very much for your presentation, for sharing your guidance and expertise with our business owners. I know how much it helps, and the information that you provided us today is very, very valuable, so thank you. As mentioned, this is recorded. We will send out a survey and feedback form for you to fill out, and we'll share the contact information for our panelists today so they can reach out directly and build those relationships like we talked about. So with that, thank you so much.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Have a great day.
Bye.
Take care, everybody.
You too, Jackie.
Bye.